Victor Kilo 4 Alpha on the contest right now.
Victor Kilo 4 Alpha, Victor Kilo 4 Alpha.
Receiving on the ICOM 705.
Kilo 5, November Charlie.
Pretty awesome. All right, let's start the show. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Welcome to Saturday. Today I've challenged myself. We are going to be walking through and increasing our knowledge on the 705. The ICOM 705 is the topic of the video today, going from noob to experienced in about 60 minutes. So we'll get started soon. Enjoy the memes and Victor Kilo 4 Alpha while we get started.
2412. Thank you, sir. Victor Kilo 4 Alpha. Kilo Delta 5 radio, Intel radio, your 592413.
That's pretty cool. Caught them.
017, thank you. Victor Kilo 4
All right.
Alpha. Whiskey 8, radio Kilo Whiskey 592414.
All right, so we caught them before I got started on the show. About an hour ago, I heard them running a pileup. If you didn't know, it's a contest weekend. I'm on 10 meters right now, right on my desk here with the ICOM 705. So we're going to be looking at that in a little bit. 28.446. If you're all in the contest right now, you might want to run over and see if you can snag a contact with Victor King 4 Alpha. Wait, what's that? Yeah, that was it. Right? Did I get the right thing there? What happened to my audio? There we go. Victor Kilo 4 Alpha. Got it. Very good. All right. Thanks for clicking on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Like I said, we're going to be playing around with the 705. I've been wanting to make this video for a little while, live stream mainly, because this radio has so much going on with it, it almost scares me. I love to operate with it, but as a content creator, there's so many things that it does that I worry that we're not even going to be able to make us all the way through in an hour. This radio does so many things. But I'm going to do my best. And so if you've got a 705 or you're thinking about getting a 705, maybe this will help you out. All right, so a couple of things before we get started here. I want a big shout out. Ham Radio for Non-Techies is in the house right now. The poor guy, our friend Scott, we got in a pretty serious auto accident. I've linked in the description to the GoFundMe, and I'm going to drop it in the live stream chat here. If you are so inclined, he's literally in the chat right now from the hospital watching the live stream. So, Scott, best wishes to you. Stay comfortable. I heard he had a surgery and whatnot. The car was pretty much totaled. He got T-boned. Obviously we like Scott, spends a lot of time in our Discord for the after chats and is definitely a part of our community, but he's also a really great YouTuber and makes a lot of really great content. So make sure you go check out Ham Radio for Non-Techies. At least you could do is give him a sub if you haven't. So give him something to cheer his day up there as he stays, hopefully not moving very much because he's resting. Scott, don't laugh too hard, hopefully, all right? Hopefully we don't make you laugh. Oh man, that's a scary thing, but yeah, I hope you're on your way to wellness. All right, so ICOM 705. You know it. You likely love it. You may own one, or you may be lusting after one. It is an all-band on HF and VHF, UHF, so it has 2 meters and 70 centimeters. So it's an all-band, all-mode QRP radio. It's internally powered. It's got a really nice screen. And the best way I like to explain it to people is it's kind of like if you cut off 90 watts from a 7300 and made it smaller, made it more portable. So because of that, there are some less buttons on the face of the screen. You've obviously got that front-firing speaker. If it was a 7300, you'd have buttons that you could click on there, but it's a smaller radio, right? And we're going to take a look at it. We're going to be doing a lot of hands-on time. We're going to be listening to the audio a lot here, but just want to get that out right up front, because if you're familiar with the 7300 or a lot of the ICOM radios, it's going to be very similar for you. So make sure you make sure you kind of follow it, at least from that standpoint. I'm going to pin that message to the chat so everybody can see it when they join. The bad news is such an awesome radio, not in stock right now at the HRO. You might be able to find it at Gigaparts or, the links for the radio, and basically everything we're going to be talking about is in the description. So if you want to go check it out, potentially buy it, that's the way to go. I've also linked to a couple of software titles and accessories that I recommend. We're going to go through how to sync your time with GPS as well, because you can do that here too, and that's a really fun thing to do when you're out in the field. So, okay, without further ado, let's hop over to the radio here. This is the 705, which you've probably seen before. Definitely have seen before. On my channel, many people's channel. So I don't think I'm really going to be saying many new things here, but at the same time, we're going to walk through some of this stuff to, just make sure everybody's on the same page, and particularly if you're new and you may be thinking about this radio, that you've got the information you need to make hopefully a good decision. By the way, spoiler alert, when somebody asks, hey, would you like a radio if you had to live on an island and you could only take one radio? This is the radio I would take with no question. And it's largely to do with, oh, somebody said we got an echo? There you go. And it's largely to do with the fact that it just does so many things, right? So thanks for the audio echo look out there. All right, so looking right at the radio, I think the best way to do this is we're just going to walk through the controls and getting on the radio. And then we're going to talk about how to go deeper with it, because the going deeper it's going to take a little bit longer, but I think most people just want to do HF with this. So again, I assume you know how to do the power on this bad boy, so let's go ahead and get that audio going again. I'm going to duck down that audio a bit. All right, let's go off frequency a bit. There's nowhere to go off frequency, there's people everywhere. All right, so the main screen you're looking at shows up when you hit the power button. And there are buttons on the bottom that are called soft buttons, and there are hard buttons on the top, right? They're physical, actual buttons. Let's go down a little bit further. There we go. So things like expand and set are going to change whether you have a big screen here for changing frequencies or a small screen with a lot of waterfall. The buttons that I use the most often when I'm just getting in front of this radio is going to be my span, so the actual width of the bandwidth screen on the spectrum display, and the waterfall can get bigger, or 500K being the largest, or much, much smaller to just 2.5K. Let's bring that back up to, usually I leave it about 50 or about 100 kilohertz wide. This is, of course, again, after you turn this on, this is what you see. So if you sit down to this for the first time, you're going to be like, hey, what do I do with this thing? The primary things you're going to do is 1, change the band, 2, change the mode, and probably change filtering, maybe do some other stuff. So let's go through that easy stuff first. You just turn this thing on, what do? Well, I want to be on 20 meters. So I click the 28, click it. And then I click 14, because I'm going to 14 megahertz. And you can watch the step-IR tune up right now. Watch, no screen, nothing. Watch this. Watch as the tune, as the antenna starts to adjust appropriately to the bandwidth.
Roger, 59, number one.
Hey, everybody on the chat saying hi right now. Appreciate you.
Fairway 6, Tango Alpha. Fairway 7.
All right, we're in the middle of a contest weekend, so you can see lots of activity on the band. I'm using the VFO to kind of roll around. Right, real slight granularity. See how I can get in real slow. But maybe that's too slow. Maybe I want to scan much faster. So I click the 14 to change bands, but if I click the 282 here, it changes to the arrow to the 2 here. And now watch when I scan. Much, much faster. Now I can go through the band all the way down to FT8 noises really, really fast. So I can go back up. Easy peasy, right? Now it's scrolling by the kilohertz. Okay. Now what if you don't want to do USB, upper sideband? What if you want to go do CW? Well, that's, again, just touch the screen. If you have it, when in doubt, touch the screen. Click USB. You can change it to whatever mode you want. We're going to go to CW. All right, well, now I got to get down south here. If I want to actually operate Morse code, I got to slide on down here. Now, there's other ways to enter manually if you want to do that. If you click the 14 again, and you go to F input, F that input, you can type it in manually, but we'll just use the VFO for now. Hey, there's a CW station. If you are a Morse code operator, you can get in tune, or what we call zero beating the station, really easily with the discrete button that's right here on the screen. Just click it. And now it is zero beat the station, meaning where their radio is transmitting, that exact frequency, it lines up now. All right, let's get off the frequency a tad here so we're at a quiet spot. Now, that is just operating HF, whether you're going to use a Morse code key or you're going to use the microphone that comes with the radio, anything along those lines. Everything we start diving into now is going to be kind of adding functionality to this or changing the way this operates. So I mentioned filters earlier. Here's your filter button. That's a wide filter for, very wide filter for CW. A more narrow filter at 350. A little bit wider at, I think that was 500. Let's go back up to the voice bands and play around with those filters for a second. So I'm going to go back out here. We got fast scan on, if you will. We'll change the mode of operation to single sideband. Let's find a nice booming station. Okay. All right, so let's play around with the filtering a little bit here. Now we're at 2.35. I don't know why that's a filter. We're in filter 2. Come back in there, bud. That's a 1.8K filter. Where's our big stations at? Where'd they all go? They were on 20 earlier. Okay. So that's a 2.4K filter. The bandwidth of the audio you're hearing is going to be wider. And you can change it really easily, as you can most of the things on the 705, by just holding the button down. So let's hold down the filter button, and we get a new screen here. If I wanted to change filter 1, let's change filter 2, since it's the same as filter 1. Let's make it a little bit wider. Click the bandwidth button. Let's open it up to 3K. So it widens the bandwidth, the audio you're hearing, which can add in noise if you're in a noisy environment like I am. But if the audio quality of the signal is really good, it'll sound a lot better, and it'll be a little bit easier for you to hear in some cases. If you're ever in doubt, you're in an environment that's kind of noisy or the signal's kind of hard to hear, just crank down the filtering a little bit more. So 1.8 or lower will start to be a little bit better. But that's 2.4 is what I generally leave this at. Okay. So that's like step 1. That's like getting in front of the radio, tuning around a little bit, and getting it to transmit. That's what you do. Now, if you're listening out in the field or anything like that, or you're listening at home, as we're listening, or I'm listening right now on headphones, these are the headphones I generally take out in the field. These are the BM17s. I like an actual boom mic and an earpiece if I'm in a windy environment. But if you wanted to plug these in, there's a port on the side of the 705 right here. Come on, buddy. And that's where the mic and speaker port are hiding. Hopefully you can see it. There you go. And they're slightly different diameters. So when I take my microphone, which we're going to plug in right now. We now have a bit enhanced control of the radio with the A and B buttons and the arrows if you want to set those, but you can also PTT, which, let me slide off frequency a little bit. What happened here? Oh, is it because we got USB connection? Maybe. We'll come back to that. Generally, if you want to use the front-firing speaker, though, you leave the speaker plug out. If I have enough time today, we'll come back around and talk about my favorite accessory, which is the VX3 Bluetooth device. But for right now, we'll just keep going. KA2AUB asks, are those headphones on my Amazon? They are not. They're Heil BM17s. So if you go to heilsound.com, or if you just search for Heil Sound on Google, they're BM17s. I like those a lot. They work with a lot of radios, and they're pretty good for going in the field. I like the one-ear ones, but the two ears are fine too if you like that. Oh, yeah, HRO will definitely have them. Most of the retailers will probably have them. All right. Okay, so that's like get in front of the radio, get started, pretty easy to do. Let's dive into some of these controls and show you a little bit more of the feature set because we got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time. You obviously saw me play with the VFO. You saw me play with the AF gain, but this button also does a little bit more. And if you click it, you have two options. You have an RF gain and a squelch. Squelch is on because I was playing around with the VHF, UHF side of the radio earlier. But RF gain allows you to literally control the RF gain of the radio. So if I crank that down, we lose the signals. If I crank it back up, signals come back. If you are, again, in a noisy environment, you can sometimes play with the RF gain to bring the signals kind of into a space that is reasonable without blowing up your AGC. AGC, another important thing, automatic gain control, is what is affected by the signal strength that you're getting. Right now, we're running AGC slow, but we can change that very easily. Let's go do that now. If I click function, there's two tabs on the 705. The 7300 doesn't have two tabs. And if I go to AGC, let's hold it down. I have three different kinds of AGC: fast, medium, and slow. For most voice communication, you want to have it on slow AGC. If you're doing digital modes, you likely want it to be fast or off, and middle or mid is for whatever your preferences are. Let's change the AGC and find another loud signal and see how it sounds. We'll go to fast.
Thank you, QRZ. Kilo Alpha 7, radio America. 4 Kilo, 594137.
That's AGC fast. Let's make it AGC slow and see how it changes.
QRZ, Papa Japan 4 Kilo. Kilo Alpha 7, radio America. Nancy 1 Tango Kilo, Ocean 5941.
Anybody notice the difference on the stream?
Thank you, QRZ, Papa Japan 4 Kilo.
We'll go back to fast.
7, radio America. Fox Radio Oscar 594139. Thank you, QRZ. Kilo Alpha 7, radio America. Tango Mexico. Tango Mike.
Hey, James, great question. I'm not sure on that one. That is an advanced feature set that we'll have to figure out and come back to you. I am not completely sure if that will work or not. I know that you can use the Bluetooth for a decent amount of things, but I don't know about free DV specifically. All right, so we'll go back to slow for listening to the single sideband. So you get an idea of what it kind of like changes as far as that goes. Let's go up to there you go. Let's go up to the multi button, which is something you haven't seen. You can use this for changing at the kilohertz level while the VFO is down here. But hey, look, you can slow through or scroll through while you're quickly get through kind of a fast scan capability if you want. But if you click it, as most of these buttons are all clickable. Let me turn this down a little bit. Under here is much like the 7300, same button, the multi-button. This is where you can adjust the output power. I am on external power right now, which gives me the full radio's 10 watts of capability. But with the internal battery, not a big deal. You can just run on 5 watts. Mic gain is going to be, again, the gain that goes out of the microphone when you transmit. Compressor is off right now. I like to leave that on for transmitting. On the stock mic, I generally leave it at 5. Monitor, that's up to you. Whatever you like to do personally, I leave monitor off for me. And passband, which is the other button here. Passband is something you can use, actually, is kind of interesting to use during contest time. Let's play around with the passband a little bit to see if we can isolate some of these signals that may be on top of each other. I'll show you how that works. Let's find some stations right next to each other. That's pretty good. You got a little bit of noise on the side. Let's get real close. We'll choose that span button. Give it a little bit of space. You can see here, I leave the center frequency as the line indicator. So for upper sideband, everything's going to be to the right of that center frequency. That's why you see all the activity here. But if you notice, there's another station right adjacent to it between these two stations. We want to find something with a little bit overlapping to demonstrate this. No overlap there. Let's play with the passband just a little bit. Oh, there is. You can thank our dog Chloe for the dog hair that just landed there. I'm clicking it to change between the left and right passband. You can see it switches from 1 to 2. And what that's allowing me to do is literally skew the filters away from each other, basically. So you're just kind of slicing out what you're listening to in the middle. And it gives you an audible beep when you center them. Let's try and see if we can find something where they're a little bit more on top of each other. We may have to open up the filters a little bit to give you a better demonstration. These guys look pretty close right here. This contest is not cutthroat enough. People aren't jamming each other up. Well, the idea here is, and unfortunately, sometimes on the live stream I can't find a good situation on the air where this is usable. But we would use the passband to skew away from the station that we're listening to that could be a little bit off frequency or a little close. So if this guy or whomever this is was transmitting a little bit overlappy, you could use your passbands to slide everything away and up. So that you can hear your center station or everything upper sideband off of your main frequency. And that would somewhat degrade the audio of this person, but it allows you to still hear them without that other person talking directly on top of him or a little bit adjacent to him. As you can see, that person was talking right there. You saw a little wave there that just passed. Anyway, this is somewhat usable, but I'll tell you the honest truth, I don't use it a whole lot, particularly if you're going like soda portable and whatnot. You're obviously or not often playing with the passband, but it's good to know about nonetheless. let's slide off frequency
020 Queen Delta.
and go ahead and mute the audio for a second. All right, so that's kind of the basics on just straight up the simple control of the receiver, the overview, if you will. Easily get in front of this thing and start working. When you get in front of it, you can obviously transmit with the mic. I mentioned the mic gain thing, and I like the compressor on. Generally, if you're on a QRP radio, if you have a compressor, you should be using it at all times. So we talked about the soft buttons a little bit, and there's a second button here. These ones I don't mess with, the speed and marker. Speed changes the waterfall speed. The reference I do, I'm not even sure if reference is the right term, but if you bump this up some, let me show you what it looks like. If I keep going, makes the waterfall really noisy looking. If you're in a high noise environment and you're trying to differentiate between some of the signals, it's often not a bad idea to just come in here and dip the ref value down a little bit. I have that below 0. I don't know why, but setting it at 0 is just fine. So we're going to leave it at that. So we can go exit, and we can go back to 1. All right, how about these buttons on the bottom? Less used once you set up the radio or right in front of it and operating, but these buttons are, they unlock a bunch of features. So we'll do the function ones first. You already saw AGC because that's a part about getting your radio kind of into, I would say, a comfortable listening position so that you can hear everything well. AGC slow is generally what I use for voice. Again, digital I use fast. I have auto notch on, but you can click through this and it'll give you a mid notch or off. Go back to auto. If you hold it down, most of these have multiple ways of control, those buttons. So if you set the notch to notch out somewhere within that space that you're listening to, this is the screen to do that on by holding it down for a second. And again, the one thing to remember about the 705 is that every button unlocks something else if you hold the soft button down. So if we turn the noise blanker on, for instance, okay, now we got a noise blanker. But if you hold it down, now you get level, depth, and width of what it's trying to do with the noise blanker. Something to keep in mind if you're playing around and you want to say, hey, you got a noisy something or other, like an alternator that you're nearby or whatever, you can use the noise blanker. Actually, the noise reducer does that. The noise blanker is for ambient noise floor. Split is going to be the operation of the radio on 2 frequencies. So you have a transmitting frequency and a listening frequency. This was a big deal, a big deal for the folks that do DXpeditions, that you make sure you are running split. For split frequencies, you can see it's on now. Now you can set your listening frequency and your split frequency, which is when you go to the B channel. Come on, buddy. There you go. Nope, that's not it. There's a lot of touchscreen controls too, so you have to kind of know which is the right one to click on. Vox, I don't use Vox, but that allows for voice operation of the transmit. Compressor on. I leave the bandwidth wide, monitors off. On record 2, or page 2 as it's called, if you click on that, that's where you can add a duplex, or you can change the different power settings for the radio via the click, but I use the multi-wheel the most often. All right, so that is HF operation. Quick and dirty HF operation to get you up and running. It adds some things like filtering. You obviously have AGC control. You have noise blanker, noise reducer. Basically what you would see on the 7300 just in that small package like I mentioned. So you have all the capabilities of the 7300 with some more, which we'll talk about in a second. But that's something. Let's listen to that guy. That guy's kind of loud, actually. Let's see what that sounds like. No. I was still trying to find another station that's kind of overlapping a little bit to give you a passband example, but oh well.
What's my number, please? Over.
Let's keep a rolling.
Roger. Number 3, thank you. QRZ, Papa Japan 4 Kilo.
Now, if
W1 Fox Whiskey Sugar 5941.
if that was kind of the limits of what the 705 did, I would probably be like, it's a good QRP radio, but maybe not worth the price tag. But this is where we start to get like a lot more capability. So if you click the quick button, the quick button is what allows you to get all kinds of different information, or what I like to do, which is you scroll down here, and if you've listened to some of my songs that I've made, weather channels, weather alerts, but recording. So I can record off the SD card that's on the side of this as we're listening to anything that's going on, and it will differentiate what it's receiving versus what it's transmitting, and it can be played back later, which I will demonstrate that here in a second. So if we get out of here, we'll stop recording. Let's go to menu, and we go to record, and we go to play files. So right here is today. So just like the 7300 would do. Helps if you can hear, right?
Thank you, QRZ, Papa Japan 4 Kilo. QRZ contest, Papa Japan 4 Kilo, contest.
Hey, Deep Coder, congratulations. So there you go. That's the recording side of it. Now, this is kind of cool. I know the ICOM ID52 does a record feature that I really like when you're just using the handheld. Oftentimes recording what you hear on your HT is more useful than this, but I'll tell you what, when you're out late at night listening to the radio, sometimes people talk about some wild stuff, and being able to record is super, super cool. Hey, David Bruce, thank you for the super chat. Enjoy the feed even though I cannot get on the Discord. David Bruce, you'd have to talk to me after the fact. Speaking of the Discord, hey guys, we do a Discord after chat. And Scott, you know, I don't know if they're going to let you hop onto it, but if you're around and capable, we'd love to hear from you. Discord after chat's a lot of fun because we answer questions regarding ham radio, and we'd love to take your comments. David Bruce, I'm not sure what your problem is. Can you message me on Discord just via the app? You can find me there and send me a message. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. All right. So quick. We kind of covered a lot of things there. Things like voltage. It shows you your battery percentage and what you're running at. We're running external power, 13.7 volts, 13.8, 6 up and down. Go back to quick. You can use the multi button if you want to scroll up. Weather channel will literally take you to a weather channel. So just FYI on that.
Friday, mostly cloudy.
If you want to have a weather alert, you can have that turned on too.
Partly cloudy.
That generally requires having an antenna that will do this, which most HF radios, even though we're on 20 meters right now, it will do that for you.
Thank you very much. QRZ, Papa Japan
Now,
4 Kilo, contest.
go back to the quick for a second. Meters are very important to you in your ham radio career and making sure your radio is a happy radio. If you go to meter select, this allows you to set what the meter's showing when you transmit. Your power output, your SWR, your ALC, your compression, whatever, right? I like to leave it on SWR for a portable radio. That's generally what I do, just so that if the antenna's getting wonky on me, I can see it on the display here via this SWR meter, or what's now the power meter, or the S meter. Hey, ZL1TC, thank you for the super chat. Love my 705, best radio I own. This is definitely my favorite radio. I have a lot of favorite radios. I don't know how I can answer that accurately, but I love this radio because it just, like, I can take it, I can be confident that I can do the things I want to do, which for me is a big deal. So, all right, we talked about HF, which a lot of you are likely going to get this because of HF, but oh boy, it obviously does more than that. So I'm going to quickly, I'm going to change antenna. We're going to dip into VHF, UHF for a minute. And I'm going to show you what you can do kind of via the power of what the D-Star capability of this radio has. And it's not necessarily the D-Star mode that... Oh my gosh, man down. We just took out half of the shack. I don't know if you heard that, but not good to the sustainability of radios, what just happened. All right. So let's change bands. We just switched to a VHF UHF antenna, so it's not going to work on HF. Let's go up to 2 meters. So now we are listening to 2 meter FM radio. Let's increase the bandwidth. See if we can find anything going on. There's something. Touch the screen. See if they come back. Oh, that's way down. Let's come back down. Somebody's having fun. Where's all my 5-2 crew? 5-2's quiet right now. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. Anybody monitoring 5-2? Can I get a check on my radio? How am I sounding? Helps if it's max power too. Kilo India 6.
Yeah, N6WR here.
Oh, I lost it. What just happened? N6WR, thank you for giving me a shout out there. Appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, this is Dick over here in the Buena Park.
Oh, hey, Nick. I'm in Cerritos here, so thanks for that. Just doing a check. I've got to hop in the car now and head off, so I just want to make sure my radio is working. Thanks for the radio check.
That's good. You always got to have your radio working, N6WR.
Hey, thanks for that. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu 73. All right, so you're like, okay, hey, yeah, it's a VHF UHF radio. I get it. That's all right. That's cool. You can do repeaters with it and all that fun stuff like you'd expect. But there's more. Boy, howdy, there's more. And let me slide over here for a second so I can show you what you probably need to do. And there's a link in the description for this, so go avail yourself of that. Let me pull up the website. All right. So D-Star Info, this was, I don't know when I found out about this, and I'm sure it was Ray Novak that told me. So for D-Star radios, like we do, like the chirp video that I just dropped, right? Chirp video, you can download from Repeater Book, all that fun stuff. Good app, right? Or good website, works with Chirp, Repeater Book, good stuff. But with a D-Star radio, if you go to Repeater Map, or sorry, downloads, download repeater list or repeater list downloads for DR mode radios. And if you click on that, you can set your location, right? You can set whatever location you're at, and you can select your radio. So I'll take the IC-705, and underneath it, it'll tell you I want 0 empty repeater slots. So I want a full programming for my radio. But then under that, you can say, what's the percentage of DMR versus just analog FM that you can do? Did I say DMR? I meant D-Star. So if you up that to like 50, 60%, I often use 50, so that 50% of my programming file that I'm going to download right now is going to be FM analog, and then the other half is going to be D-Star. When I take that file and I put it on the radio, it will copy that in off of a CSV file and load basically a set of repeaters. And it will use your GPS to determine your location and show you the repeaters that are in your area. Let's show you what that looks like, and then I'll show you how to do it. Okay. So this is the standard VFO control of the ICOM IC-705. But if you hold down the DR button, which is right here, you guys seeing that okay? Yes, you are. If you hold that down, you now enter into what looks like a D-Star screen. And it is. It's the same thing that you'd use for D-Star. But, check this out. If you click this once, it'll give you repeater list, near repeater list, and then transmit history. And if you click near repeater, and you can say all or split, DV means digital voice, so D-Star. If you say all, watch what it'll do. Almost instantaneously, it'll pull up the CSV file and show you the repeaters that are local to your area. So if we wanted to just go something local, there's a 2.5 mile away repeater that we can hop onto. This is D-Star. But La Mirada, California, KE6UPA. This is FM, as denoted by the little parentheses there. Let's take that one. Okay, so now we're on it. And so if I go... What is going on? I think I did... There's something wrong with my cable. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Hey, we got a activity on the repeater there. So, bam, we now have really easy way to program a radio. And in fact, I have multiple programmings that I store on my little programming file. And I'll show you how to do this in a second. But we can do more. If we click the scan button, it will allow us to scan near repeaters just off of your GPS signal because we've got a GPS lock. So let's do that now. Oh, squelch has got to be turned on. That's why I had squelch on. Look how fast it scans. You think your radio scans fast? All right. Not a lot of activity on the VHF, UHF, it seems like. And then we're back at whatever we stopped at. So it's not just a VHF, UHF all-band radio. If you take the time and load the CSV files for repeaters in your area, you can actually have a ton of different options. And that's what leads us to the next step. And this is where we're going to start getting a little deeper in the menu. So pretty easy. Pretty easy to start, but let's now take the deeper dive. I'm going to get off of DR by clicking the button. We're out of it again. We're back into a standard mode. I'm going to... What's going on with squelch? Oh, it's because we're pulling directly from the USB for audio. That's why. I'll just go ahead and mute this a little bit. All right. So a lot of you've seen is just the operating position, right? I did some work here to make this all go. I've set some things to make them all happen, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. The menu button. The menu button is going to break down a lot of this stuff, and it's broken up into a couple different displays. There are buttons, like squares with little logos, like you saw for the record that we did earlier. There's a scanning capability. You can change the waveform, which is actually really useful for digital modes, which I'll show you in a second when we get to that. But if you click 2, this is a whole new list of things that you don't normally see when you have like a 7300. This is a whole new set. And one of those things is GPS, which is right here. So if you click on GPS, this is where you can turn the GPS on and off. If you're portable operating and you don't really need the GPS or whatever, you can just turn it off. You just click it and turn it off, right? When it's on, though, you can tell it to do a couple of things in its operation. And I want to say, no, that's all we need to do with syncing time is to turn it on, which we've done. And you've been seeing it, the little satellite icon that's fully lit up, a full satellite. That's to tell you that, oh yeah, you're on GPS. So if we get out of that, now we're just back in the radio and go back to menu again. This time, on either screen, there's a little wrench and a screwdriver. That's the deeper settings menu. So deeper and deeper, all the way down. Let's click on set. The settings menu is the common configurations of the radio that you're going to go through. You will have to set up the My Station with your call sign when you get this right out of the box for the first time. There you go. Now you know how to do that. But there is a setting for GPS to pass it over USB, and that's under connectors. So we click on that, and we scroll down to the bottom, and under USB-B, click on that, GPS out. Once we've turned that on, we now have the capability of actually pushing GPS out via the USB cable that's connected to my computer, which is what we're currently pulling time from. You can do that. There's a link in the description to a video to a software title called BKT Time, and that's what allows you to sync on your laptop, Windows laptop, for GPS time. All right. It's probably time now that we get into digital modes a little bit, because I know a lot of people are curious about that. But Want to see if there's anything else. Yes, we'll mention this as well. Wireless LAN, although this is like way down the rabbit hole a little bit, but that's what we're here for, right? If we go to wireless LAN, there's two types of communication. If you have the card, the wireless LAN card on, it's an on-off switch here. But if you go to connection type, there's two connection types. There's a member of a network called station, and then there's a host, if you will, called access point. If you connect to a wireless network with the card, you go in as a station. If it's an access point, you are the Wi-Fi network. The 705 becomes the Wi-Fi network. This is useful for running a Raspberry Pi or connecting via a laptop if there is no internet or no network that you can tap into. That's what you use, and that would allow you to wirelessly control this radio if you have the software to do it. I have a video on that. I think I did a live stream actually on explaining how to do this and demonstrating it, but you can go watch that. It generally requires the software title RSBA1, so keep that in mind. All right. If you go back, come on, there we go. Access point, this is where you would set up different information on if you wanted to run as an access point, the network name. Remote settings is if you are going to allow a user to connect to this via wireless connectivity or whatever. And you do have to go in and actually set a network user, which in this case, yeah, there you go. You set a password, etc. if you want it to be an admin or whatnot. We don't need to deep dive that too much because, again, we did cover this in another video. And it's not exactly needed for what we're talking about today. But if you turn on the GPS time, that will work. And you cannot do that over wireless. You have to use USB. All right, let's go back up here. And let's go to connectors. All right, so if you started out at the top of the menu screen on the 705, you scroll down to connectors, hit the multi button. This is where all the USB, the WLAN, all that stuff becomes way more important for configuring your radio to talk to your computer. So in this case, I'm connected via USB, so I'll click on that. Go up to the top. And all of these you can copy or pause the screen if you want to copy what I do. But output level is going to be the volume that your radio is kind of pushing the audio over the USB. So keep that in mind if you're running WSJTX or something along those lines and you don't want to have to adjust the slider, you'd go into the radio and do it that way. WLAN, same kind of concept, although you're limited to just these settings. Okay, so mod input, this is very similar to the 7300, and it tells the radio what ports you want it to use for doing digital. In our case, for doing digital, we could have it on WLAN if you have a wireless setup, or it's a device on a network. Mic and USB is just what it says. It's going to use the USB cable, or it's going to use the mic as an input. Or you can just do USB standard, which would turn the mic off, which is often what you want to do if you're just going to run digital, because if this is connected and you're talking, it will pick it up. So we're going to go and just make it USB, or ideally we can just disconnect the mic and leave it on mic and USB. Data mod is the same thing. We're going to leave it as mic and USB. And that should be the big things you have to do. Yep, that's all it is. For CIV, the CIV code is kind of like the radio handshake to say, yes, computer, you may talk to me. If this number is not alpha 4, it likely won't work if you're using any standard setup for a given radio. Or if you're using WSJTX and you say, hey, use the ICOM IC-705. And if this is off of A4, it won't connect correctly. A4 is the standard. So the 7300 is 98, for instance, and I have often made this look like the 98, so I could use the 7300 communication standard. But the 705 is now everywhere, so you can just leave it as A4, and you're good to go there. So what does that look like? Well, let's go back to the computer, and we'll run WSJTX. So we've got it connected on USB. We're already on the network. Let's see what it looks like when we do that. All right, let's go ahead and... Hey, Super Chat. Thank you so much for the Super Chat from Blizzard FPV. What's a good entry-level radio for truck and hikes. Whoo, buddy. I would highly recommend you join us on the Discord after chat. This is the exact type of question we want. And by the way, if you don't want to join us on the Discord, that's okay. Just wait for the YouTube video that follows this. I make another live stream that's just for the after chat, because this question is exactly why we're there. We're there to answer newbie, first-comers, people who are brand new to radio's questions live. What would be a good radio is going to depend entirely on you and your budget and what you're capable, what you want to do. You said truck and hikes. Well, if you said truck to me and no hikes, I'd say get yourself a mobile radio that goes inside the vehicle, 50-watt output. But then you said hikes. You may not want to take a mobile radio and hike. So, hey, join us that way. Okay? Go join us on the after chat. We'll take text chats, but we'd love to hear your, I'm sure, perfect for radio voice in the Discord. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the display here. So I am running Ham Radio Deluxe right now, but I'm going to show you both ways here. So this is the radio control application, or HRD rig control. And if I click the connect button, I want to show you what that looks like over here. I already have my 705 defined, but let's just go ahead and go to new and show you the basic settings here for HRD, and then I'll show you WSJTX. So it's going to be ICOM 705, the COM port that your radio is plugged into. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to bring that up now. You bring up something called Device Manager. Device Manager. Okay. When you plug the 705 into your computer, it's going to open two ports. There's a port A and a port B. Port B is that GPS signal that we want to tap into for time. Port A is the CIV connection for radio control and the audio. So whenever we're going to connect to an app like Ham Radio Deluxe or WSJTX, we want to use port 18, which is the CIV or CI5. It's not V, it's CI5. Roman numerals and all that connection. So commit that to memory, 18. For me, for you, it's going to look different. So let's go back to Ham Radio Deluxe. What's selected? Port 18. Speed, in my case, is 19200. I would start at 19200 and then go to 9800 if it's not working, or 9600. And that CIV ID, or that CIV address that we talked, CI5, sorry, is alpha 4. Okay? Let's go ahead and close this down, though, because we're going to play with some WSJTX right now. Oh, sorry, Brian. Yeah, I have this apparently in huge mode. I apologize. We're going to run WSJTX and create a configuration for your 705. Clinton Randolph, thank you so much. Love your channel. Learning is occurring. Just passed my technician test today. Congratulations. Congratulations. Very good. All right, so the application is complaining. Rig control error. Do you want to configure the radio interface? I do, but I want to create a configuration that is for the 705. So let's click on configurations. And I likely already have a 705 configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to that, because let's just say I've done stuff like this. A lot of videos and a lot of playing around with different radios. So, okay, hey, it's still not right. The red it's unhappy. Things are not good. So we're going to go to File, Settings, up at the top here. All right. Now let's go to Radio. And, oh, yeah, Omni Rig. It's trying to use an Omni Rig? That's not going to work. Yeah, it's complaining. It's all upset. Let's go to ICOM. Click I. And we're going to go to 705, wherever that is. There it is. And we're going to tell it, what was the COM port, everybody? 18. That's right. And we're going to change the speed to 19200. Data bits are 8. Stop bits is 1. I think you can just leave it as 1. We want none for handshaking. We're going to use cat for control. This radio is equipped with a data mode, so we're going to use that. And we're going to do rig for split control. And let's test it. Hey, it's green. And so if I click test PTT, it do be PTTing. Here, let me show you. Yep, it is working. So this is obviously not the right frequency. My antenna is probably not happy. So let's go ahead and get out of here. We're going to go to 20 meters. All right. We're going to have to give it a second to catch up, everybody. Yeah, James, I've been doing this long enough that I've got it down pretty good that it's going to go green almost all the time unless I got something real broken. Speaking of Mr. James Hannibal, while the antenna tunes up, I'd like to show you all something. You ready for this? I don't know if anybody saw it, but this mat that I've got all my junk strewed upon, that's safely cushioning and loving upon my radios, is the new Quirky QRP ham radio information mat. And it has a ton of things, which again, I have all covered up, but check it out. It's got the band plan on the top. On the left side, it's got your phonetic alphabet. I'm like loving this for like technicians. They put their 10-meter radio right next to it on top of it. And then they've got all the information at hand, or they're like using a small QRP radio. Super cool. All of the Q codes, or many of the most often used, are there. The RST system, Morse code, commonly used HF frequencies. All of that is right there. James sent this to me. I picked it up from the post office. Appreciate you letting me take a look at it. We're gonna have a fun video on that in the future here, and I think it's great for technicians. And finally, can I just say, finally, hams have the ubiquitous Glock pad that is in every YouTube gun video ever. So they've got the Glock mag or whatever gun with the exploded gun on it. We finally have that. So if you'd like one of those, go take the link in the description. And thanks, James, for sending that. I appreciate it. So okay, let's go back. Something is not right with my radio. Something's unhappy here. So we're gonna go back into settings. What did I not do? Well, I didn't set the audio right. Of course I didn't. So we're gonna change that to, I think it's 5. We'll just do that. Let's do that right now. Let's see what happens. No, maybe not. Oh. Y'all know what I did wrong. Right? Everybody know what I did wrong? Who can guess what I did wrong just from looking at this this video? Brian. It feels good to go live, guys. Feels good. Oh my goodness. If you're the type of person, oh man, if you're the type of person that has any ego and doesn't like when you screw up and people seeing you, don't start live streaming. You'll screw up constantly. And if you want to be like help people and do something, then you're not gonna have all kinds of problems. Anyway, hey, look at that, guys. What's going on now? We got that ham radio working. Yeah, that's it, James. James got it. James got it right there. Use that use that tuner with the 2-meter antenna. Hey, and thanks, Don, for dropping the Etsy link for James. Appreciate that. I'm gonna leave Scott's link up there, but don't worry, we're gonna be talking about the Quirky QRP mat in the future. But go check it out. The link is in the description. Good stuff. So let's go ahead and oh hey, who made my grid tracker big? There you go, something like that. Yeah, that'll work. Something happened to my screen. Something's all funky. I think this is too big. We don't want this. That's way too big. Stuff to be doing live. Definitely stuff to be doing live. Anyway, let's throw a call out. Final test if we've done this right. 260. That's way off. Hold on. Oh, somebody's right on that frequency. Good Lord, it's busy out there. All right, give it a go. About to hit the hour, so I would definitely say you started out with just getting right in front of the radio to we're now connecting to a digital mode. So I hope that helps. We're going to go a little bit further. I'm going to take some questions. I would like to get IC-705 questions on this live stream. And if you'd like to have any random ham radio question, please join us on the after chat. Please join us on the after chat. We're happy to help you. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Let's go. Let's go, Argentina. And now's a good time to show you the other screens on the IC-705. While I'm transmitting here, check this out. That's a boring screen. Look at my SWR. It's so low. But there's another way to get a better view of that. Let's go click the menu button. For you digital users, you're going to get real familiar with this meter button. Let's click that. So check that out. Now you got an ALC meter, a compressor, an SWR, all that stuff display. Watch when we start transmitting. Check this out. Hey, look at that. Hey, my ALC's too high. All right, let's duck it down a little bit. Duck it, duck it, duck it, duck. There we go. And go down further. There, that's where we want it. Right there in the spot. And you know what, guys? That's kind of funny. I'm pointed at Australia right now. Watch when I point east. Swinging the beam. Swinging the beam around. Is that just WSJTX and Grid Tracker? It is, but I also have my logger connected. That's just always connected to WSJTX. So I'm going to call CQ again. Just to refresh this. Vapob, and that is a good question for the 705. And so here's my textbook answer. See that red line about halfway right there? If you're not over that red line, you're fine, is the general consensus. So if you're not in the red line with your ALC, you're fine. Does it improve things if you're like, yeah, the tiniest little whiff above? Maybe. I don't know. I don't get too caught up on that. Like if it's preventing you from getting on the radio, then I would say don't worry about it. I want you on the radio. Focus on that. All right, there you go. With the beam pointed in the right direction. Hey, who knew? Let me pick up more signals. All right, guys. Questions. Go for it. Just type in your question, write the word question, or at Ham Radio Crash Course, and let's see if I can answer some stuff live. If you have some just burning questions on the 705, maybe some of you in the chat are like, you know, I just don't know about this because I can't do blah, blah, blah. Well, I would love to answer that. I will show you while oh geez. Sorry about that. While we're playing around with this. This is the BKT time sync, and this is the settings right here for the 705. You want to click the enable GPS button. You want to give it the COM port. You want to give it the baud rate. 8 is the stop bits. Sorry, bits is stop. Stop bits is 1. And then you can leave all this stuff alone, and you hit enable GPS, and it'll sync up instantly, which is fantastic because then you're literally synced up for in the field. Why do you need that? You're probably like, Josh, what do I care about GPS time? Well, what I'm doing right there is why you need it. FT8 won't work if you don't have an accurate time source. And the 705 is the solution to like so many of these problems because it will give you the accurate time source for your laptop when you're out in the field with no internet. So for you POTA people that want to do anything related to WSJTX or anything like that, hit that up. All right, let's go ahead and drop this down. There we go. Question. Josh, if I like something cool to report in a few weeks, what is the best way? Oh, if I have... Oh, hit me up at hashnasi@gmail.com or Josh, this is probably the better way, josh@hamtactical.com, josh@hamtactical.com. Or you can DM me on Instagram, or you can tweet me, or you can hit me up on Discord. However, and any of those ways is good. And thanks for reaching out. Restream bot. So it's W1SNH. I'm planning on travel with it on the airlines. Which one bag to pack it up? Ooh, you know I love bags. You know I love them bags. All right, I'll tell you the bag that I use most often to keep it modular. All right, let me slide over here for a second so I can show you on the overhead. Uh-oh. Did the stream just die? Oh, no, what just happened? I don't know if are you still seeing me on the live stream or did I just die? Because the OBS just decided to conk out on me. Oh, I'm back. Never mind. Oh, that was scary. Holy smokes. All right, let's zoom out. So this is a Condor bag, if I remember correctly, and I do have this in one of my Amazon shops, and there's a link in the description. So the 705 without the POV case will fit right in this, and all the sides are padded, including the bottom, but it's not a lot of padding. So I add this to the top, and the top is where I put the BNC antenna connection. It's MOLLE, and on the outer side here in the front pouch is where I keep USB cable, the power plug, the microphone, all that stuff. Now, if you want something a little bit like more inclusive of all the things, like if so, and you can see it's not that much bigger. This is actually made for like a hydro flask type of size, or a Nalgene bottle would fit in this. But it fits a 705 perfectly, as you can see. It's pretty much the same dimensions. You get the mic, power, USB, and if you have a small enough CW key, it'll fit that as well on this outer pouch. Drop at everything today.
I know for a fact them radio waves is harmful.
Hey, all right, got me on W6QY. Thank you very much for the contact. Well, hey, you don't have to. By the way, nobody has to pay me for contacts on WSJTX. We're not doing that in ham radio. That's not what this is about. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right. Question: why would you choose the IC-705, which only has 10 watts, if it was your only radio on a desert island and not an FT891, which has 100 watts? I guess it depends on how big the desert island is, because I may want 2 meters and 70 centimeters. What if it's a desert island where I have to coordinate with other people and they all have handhelds? I could see how saying desert island makes you think, well, he only needs HF. And so you could make a go at it with the 891 and likely have better chance of being rescued if that was your thing. But what if I wanted to go there to be left alone? Hey, I don't know. Dawn, I had the same question. What was the full? Oh, everybody keeps asking about full duplex. Lots of people have answered this already. No, it does not have full duplex. I thought everybody answered that in the chat. No full duplex on the 705, unfortunately. Question: how is 10 meters, and would this be a good starter radio for a new tech for POTA? Gosh, this is a tough one. So I have always been of the mindset that a 100-watt radio should be your first radio for HF. It doesn't matter if you're technician, general, or extra. Your first HF radio should be a 100-watt radio. With that said, we're rolling into the high solar cycle, and even QRP is going to work just fine for POTA. You can go to Amazon and buy like a 10-meter only radio. It's like $250. I have one of the versions of this radio that's around that price range, and it's like 60 watts output. You'll likely do better with that on a POTA activation than the 705 on strictly single sideband. But if you have a desire to do digital modes like D-Star and have GPS capability and do the plethora of things that I showed in this video today, then you might want it. You likely need to step up to your general, though, to make full use of this radio from my point of view. And maybe that's already your plan. And if it is, then, okay, I'm making a lot of assumptions here. So if you're okay with my assumptions, then that's fine. Can you recommend a power amp for the 705? Yeah, the Shegu XP 125 or 120 works just fine. I've been able to interface it. It's 100-watt output. It's a relatively cheap amplifier. I don't know that it's a clean amplifier, but it does work. There's a couple of other options out there, but to be honest with you, I don't generally amplify portable radios. I just kind of go with what I got, and I use the 10 watts, and that's about it from my point of view. Zach Bear, is there anything you find you can't do well because of the power limitations of the 705? WinLink. WinLink is what I would say. And let me be more specific. So, doing single sideband, digital mode, stuff like this, generally is not very difficult with the 705. And it's not the 705's fault. The problem sometimes comes, and it's more actually on the antenna side. When you're portable and you're running a portable antenna, sometimes they're of lighter weight material, and doing a lot of WinLink, and I'm talking about the WinLink where I'm downloading like 20 emails from all of you that watch, and thank you everybody for emailing me on WinLink. That can warm up an antenna significantly. So like your end-fed half waves, even down to like a chameleon antenna will sometimes get a little hot depending on what the power output is. Even on QRP, believe it or not. Even at 10 watts, in some cases, if you're just doing it long enough, and depending on how good your connection is with some misconnections and retries and all that stuff, everything starts to warm up a little bit. In general, though, there's not many instances I've walked out in the field and said, I'm only bringing the 705. I'm undergunned or I'm outnumbered for what I'm going to do. I don't really feel that way. But also that's it due in part because I'm the DX. If I'm doing a Parks on the Air, people are coming to make a contact with me, and so I generally do fine because they're trying to hear me. So only the people that can actually hear me try and call me back. We obviously know that when you got 100 watts, you're going to do more contacts, but you know, antenna for antenna, if you use the same antenna. Hopefully, so follow-on question, Tony from C137. Okay. Is 10 watts enough, though? Serious. Gosh. It depends. Proper ham radio answer. It depends. If you're brand new, probably not. It's probably not enough. If you know what you're doing and you got a good antenna and you know where to put that antenna so it's in a good spot for maximum effectivity, then yeah, it's probably good enough, particularly in the high solar cycle. I would say so. It's always the antenna, isn't it? I think so. We were just listening to a guy in you know what I should have done is I should have tried to make a contact with that guy. That's what I should have done to start off this stream, just so that we wouldn't have had these questions. You made a contact to Australia. He had a huge pile up, but still. Question, can you explain when you should use USB-D instead of USB, just standard USB mode? Yeah, when you're doing digital modes. USB-D is for USB digital. So it's just a slightly different way it handles the audio in passing the audio along. What span do you leave your waterfall when doing FT8? I generally try and make it as wide as I can. So if the bandwidth that I'm listening on is 3,000 kilohertz, I'll make the waterfall 3,000 kilohertz, and that's what you're seeing here. I have it stepped on a little bit, but you can see it's a 3,000 hertz. Sorry, hertz, right? No, 3,000 kilohertz space. I always get screwed up in my head about that. I think I might have some weird brain thing. Question 2, what would you bring to POTA? Oh, well, go watch my video that I did for the Go Box that I purchased from Jerry, who's sadly our friend and is now a silent key. I would continue to take that 7100 out. That thing was awesome. But I also have the truck where I just plug it directly into it and set up that antenna. What have I taken on POTA? The 705, traditionally. I'm generally a relatively long time user of the 705 portable, regardless of whether it is Parks on the Air or not. Or the 7300. I've definitely used the 891 though, and the 818, and I would likely gravitate towards the 7100 for 100 watts or the 705 personally. Don, you saw the video last week. You can go look that up. The 705, the KX2 off the top of my head was like a 0.7 amp draw, and the 705 was a 1 amp draw. So pretty close. Lethal5670, how do you do a firmware install? So glad you asked. This was actually one of the things we didn't get to today, but I'll answer it now in kind of this after portion. So if you go to the web, by the way, link in the description, and you go search for ICOM 705 software or firmware, and if it doesn't come off of the ICOM Japan website or the ICOM America website, don't mess with it. Scroll down to the bottom here, and there you got firmware, and it says firmware IC-705. At the time of making this video, we are on 1.32. You click on that, and this is the instructions. It's fairly straightforward. I will describe it in a little bit of detail. You copy, so you download the firmware. It will be zipped. You will unzip the file, and you unzip it to the CF card, so the micro SD card that goes into the 705. You take that file, okay? The file needs to go into the 705 directory. So if you open up the micro SD card, it will have the root directory, and there'll be one folder for the 705. You open that folder and drop the file into it. Now, how to do it, I can show you that fairly quickly. Let's see how many questions we have, and then we'll come back to it. And we got a super chat. Thank you so much from Ricky's Radio Room. Appreciate it. I don't know why that's not working. Hold on. Let's go back to the display. There we go. Hey, the little dancing stickers are working now. That didn't work before. So somebody over on the side of the house that works on this thing, they got it fixed. Can you do wireless FT8 with a 705 if the radio is on access point? Yes, that's exactly what you can do. But it requires using the RSBA1 software to do it if you're in the field. If you are at home, then there are a couple of other options. So let me keep some of these contacts going. By the way, if you want to make a contact with me on FT8, join us on the after chat. I'll be running FT8. All right, so firmware process. Let's see. Let's clear all those out. Let's do the firmware, and then we'll wrap up. By the way, my family's all at Knott's Berry Farm right now, so I'm hanging out tonight with all you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. On my child's birthday. Let me show you how to do the firmware, and then I'll show you one last little freebie, and then we'll head out of here. I've done videos on a lot of these singularly, but I thought it might be fun to kind of pile them all together. So let's wrap up this contact. I think I've got one more contact, and then we'll pull things over. All right, I'm halting it. Sorry. If you want to wrap up that contact, hop over with me on the after chat here. Okay, so you've got your SD card plugged into the 705, and you want to, it's got the latest and greatest firmware. So all you got to do is hit Menu, Set, scroll down to SD card, click, and go to Firmware Update. Now, I'm not going to do this, but you hit yes. It will make a copy, and then it will display the firmware that's loaded on the radio. I suggest you delete all the old firmwares before you do any of this stuff. Come back and select the one you have, and then scroll down to yes again. But this time, you have to hold the yes down for a full second, and then it will do the firmware update. It's a very, very easy process, and the instructions I just showed you also make that easy. By the way, I realized I didn't show you my import and export. So remember that whole thing about repeaters and local repeaters? So if you hit import export, go to CSV format. Nope, that's not what I want. Import, sorry. Repeater list. So these are all the repeater lists that I have in here. So I have a 705 that from back in the day, my local home in Cerritos. The last time I built one was for Austin, Texas. I would build these forever, wherever I go on travel. So I'll be building one of these for Heber, Utah pretty soon. For anybody who knows what that means, I'll be over there in a little while. And you just click it, and it will load all that in for all the repeaters that you're around. And that's all you pretty much have to do. So the 705 has just a wealth of stuff that you can do here, and we were really just cracking the surface on this. So if you have more 705 questions, just because we're running definitely past my 60-minute goal, but you know they're all QA stuff, and that's okay. B Murphy got it. Then feel free to join us on the after chat. I'm happy to answer your questions, and so do all the other people that are on the after chat with us. So I am gonna here wrap up in a second. Kind of a specific question before I start Googling. Are there good interfaces to control the XPA125 that include band data and tuning commands? Not that I know of. Fantastic question, Jason. By the way, Jason, if you Google foo a solution to that, please tell me first, because I want one. No, you use it manually. If you want that type of control, you need to use the G90. Question, besides the 705, which other do you recommend that is all mode? Oop, 7100. There's like no QRP all band anymore. Sadly, we lost the 818. We all likely assume Yaesu may be cooking on something else that may replace the 818. It's very possible that will also be all band, all mode. I would kind of be surprised if it wasn't. I think people would probably pull out pitchforks and torches if it wasn't. So you can pretty much you can pretty much be confident that it will be. And yeah, the 819. That's it, man. Paul's got his finger on the pulse. That's the numbering convention. The 819. If you want a 100-watt radio, though, the 7100 and the ICOM, the Yaesu 991 Alpha are still on the market. 7100 is a little hard to find right now, I believe, due to manufacturing. But yeah. All right, last question. 76 UVAC and IMIT repeaters are the most active. I got you, B Murphy. All right, bud. Yeah. I'm gonna be pretty busy. It's not gonna be it's a turnaround, but yeah. All right, that's it. All the other questions. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, fine. This is the last thing, and then we're gonna wrap it up. If you'd like to, and this is now, I feel that I have helped everyone go from noob to skilled, not expert, skilled in around 60 minutes. If you'd like to gussy up the look of your radio, your 705, specifically the waterfall, this is the last thing I'll show you. Here we go. All right, see, I've got that pink line. Yeah, everybody asked me, where'd the pink line come from? Well, let's soften this a little bit. It's a little noisy first. So I'm going to go to RF gain, and I'm going to drop this down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now take your finger, hold down, expand and set. See what it says set? Well, the set is the long press. Ready? There you go. That unlocks a ton of stuff, including what your waveform color line will be, the waveform color itself, and the waterfall, the waveform color. So if I change this, so let's go to this guy. Go back, and we'll change this guy to something else. Okay, now let's go back. Huzzah! Look at that, a completely different looking screen now for my 705. All right, guys. Hopefully that was a lot of things. A lot of things that... Scott, ICOM IC-705 to Shegu amplifier keying cable with RBI1 interface. Is that a statement or a question? Sure. I have an interface for the 705 to the X25 amplifier, but I don't have the ability to change the bands. It's the band change that doesn't work. Works just fine otherwise. It keys the amp. And I bought it off of eBay. So ping me on Discord. All right. I'm going over to the Discord. You join me over there. All my patron friends. Whoop, that's not it. All my patron friends. Next week is patron picks. Oh, I didn't even... See, you got me on the waterfall. I was going to show you my wireless iPad connection to the 705. But if you want to know about that, you can just go look SDR Control. I did a video on SDR Control for all you iPad or Apple macOS users. You can wirelessly connect to your 705 with an iPad or a macOS computer. No other operating systems can do that without the ICOM RSB1A software. Next week is patrons picks, and I think the vote is either over or it's going to wrap up quickly. So if you're a patron, you can vote on that if you go to Patreon right now. Okay. Hey, James, by the way, reminder for James, go check out his awesome mat, and I think he's got some other cool stuff if you like that info type of thing. Definitely go to check out his Etsy store, which was linked, and I'll drop the link again here. Let's, in fact, where is that? Don't I not have it? There it is. There it is. I got it. I'm dropping a link to the mat specifically, so let's hit it a couple of times. And if you use the code, which is in the description, you'll get $5 off, which I think is Quirky QRP HRCC. $5 off when you go to buy. And if all of you bought that and you did get it, I didn't. If I didn't tell you the code, I don't think I did. Hopefully you took the link in the description, which tells you about the coupon. If you didn't, I'm sorry, James. I don't know if you can go adjust the sales. Sorry about that. Everybody take the coupon code, Quirky QRP HRCC. I don't remember if I said the coupon code or not. Always go to the description. I know oftentimes we just take the link in the stream, but go always look at the description. I try to put everything in there so I don't forget. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the memes. I'll be back on FT8 in a second, but join me on the Discord. Link is in the description for that. It's a lot of fun, trust me. It's here for the after chat, but believe me, it's the best ham radio community on the internet. I don't care what anyone says. No, I think that's accurate. Yeah, Long Island CW clubs up there though. Hard to compete with those guys. All right, guys, 73. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Oh, hey, straight up dumb thumbs. Thank you. WF View is another way to do ICOM wireless control without using the ICOM software. So there you go. Check that out too. Loving the wireless control. In fact, we'll start up the after chat with that going. So make sure you come join us on the after chat. 705 night tonight, but also any of your other ham radio questions too. That's it, Dave. You've been told. You're formally invited to the Discord. I'll see you guys over there. Take it easy.